Would you like to know how professionals make thumbnails for YouTube? We produce hundreds and hundreds of thumbnails every single month. We've been doing that quantity for years, and we've learned some things. We know how to get a higher click-through rate. So in this video, we're going to talk to you about how to start, how to improve, so you can get results and high click-through rates on your thumbnails. So this video is going to be a lot of hands-on. I'm going to grab my laptop and I'm actually going to show you several things, examples of thumbnails. First thing that I want to address is the leaf title and the thumbnail. Those are two separate things. When we do keyword research, we find this really long question. That becomes the title of your video. It's not the text that goes on the thumbnail. Your thumbnail and your title are always shown together, and so the text that's on the thumbnail can enhance that. You can be a lot more sensational, a lot more creative with the text that goes on a thumbnail. Oftentimes you'll see people will repeat the title in their thumbnail, and that's just redundant. It's wasted opportunity. As we dive into some examples here, the main rule, the number one rule, is to create curiosity. And go ahead and start simple. Now, what we're looking at on the screen are two different thumbnails. The top one was the original, and then we created a variation just to see the difference that it could make. How do you know for sure? Yeah, that question in my mind, it created some curiosity, and I don't even remember what the title is. This video had a leaf title, but we're just looking at the thumbnails here, and so it's how do you know for sure? Okay, it's like, yeah, how do you know for sure? But the second thumbnail, realtors never tell you this. When my team came up with that one, I'm like, that one creates a lot of curiosity. If I zoom out a little bit here, I took this screenshot of TubeBuddy, the data that we get when we do a split test, okay? And look up here at the top, click-through rate, the original had 7.25, so that's actually pretty good. That's a high click-through rate, so how do you know for sure? That actually worked. But we had this other idea, realtors never tell you this. That's the only thing that we changed is that text, and it increased that to 9.53%, which is amazing. This is just one example, but I see that time and time again where just by creating text that creates more curiosity, or an image or a facial expression that creates more curiosity, that works to get more clicks. Now, I'm going to show you something that I actually learned from Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast, when he designs a thumbnail for one of his videos, he creates a 4x4 grid, so 16 different thumbnail concepts that, you know, there might be similarities across the rows and down the columns, but just like here, we decided to do 3x3. This has become so helpful. We actually follow a few different steps. So in the beginning, when I'm outlining my content, I send that content to my team, and my team sends me thumbnail ideas. In fact, I've got a whole bunch of them right here. So for different episodes that I'm filming today, they've just kind of pieced together a quick rough idea. Hey, make a pose like this, do this facial expression. We're thinking about some words like that, okay? So then on filming day, I will make that facial expression. I will make that pose. I'll give that look, right? We'll capture that. Then that goes to my thumbnail team, and they create a 3x3 grid like this, where we get to see several different variations. And you know, you notice it's A1 or A2 or A3 or all the way down to C3. So that I can communicate to my team and say, actually, I really like the layout on C3, but I like the text used in B2. You know, whatever my instructions are, if we need to make some more revisions, this way it just allows them to be creative, to try several different things, and then run it by me or run it by other people on my team, so they can really hone in on one and decide like which one is the most compelling, which one creates the most curiosity. And often after we create this 3x3 grid, we might hone in on one, and then I might say, okay, let's do this one, let's do C3, but I want to see the background with some other colors that might make it stand out a little bit more. And we'll actually go to YouTube and type in some words in the YouTube search bar to see what videos are currently there, and realize, okay, all of these videos are kind of blue, so I don't want to make mine blue. Let's see, what does red look like? What does yellow look like? And we might just try some different colors, and we might create a second 3x3 grid, because it's pretty easy for my team to change out a background color or something like that, so that we can see them and make the best decision. Now, a lot of it is guesswork. But after we launch it, we get the data, and we can find out, okay, we got a 7.2 click-through rate or a 3.4% click-through rate. If it's low, we just, all right, let's try something else. Let's go back, let's look at that 3x3 grid again. What do we want to try? Because you can change your thumbnail. Now I've got some more ideas to share with you, but I want to tell you about my book because I think it's really going to help you and it's my gift to you. Okay, so my book is called A Hero's Guide to Influence on YouTube, and I've put 2 years of my life into making this book and packing everything that I've learned and experienced on the many dozens of channels that I produce so that you can take that info and apply it to your YouTube channel so that you can generate leads in your business and have your YouTube channel be a 7-figure revenue stream. To get that book as my gift to you for free, you just need to pay the shipping costs. Go to natesyoutubebook.com and you can get that there. So I want to talk to you about single variable testing versus multiple variable testing. If you want to make a change on the thumbnail and learn, then you can only change one variable at a time. Otherwise, you don't actually know which change made the difference. So look at this example with Paul Jenkins. Both thumbnails are identical. The text is the same, the picture is the same, the facial expression is the same, but the color around the text. The top one is red and the bottom one is blue. That's all that we changed. And yet, if we look at the click-through rate, it's a pretty significant difference, 6.6 to 8.3. And this has been calculated over thousands of views. And so this is very statistically significant, saying the blue one in this case performs better. That doesn't mean that you should never use red or red words or red text on your screen because blue performs better. That just means in this environment. With the other videos that this one is up against on the screen and maybe the way that they design their thumbnails for this topic, the blue wins in this case. So, you know, in the next one, we might want to use blue, but then compare it and look at the environment and see what we're doing there. So this is an example on the opposite end of the spectrum. Instead of just changing one variable, I think there's like 6 different things that we changed. And we did it just because my team had an idea. You'll notice the top thumbnail had a click-through rate of 8.26%. That is really good. We were really pleased with it. We didn't create a new design because it was a poor performer. We created a new design just to see. We had an idea, but my team, in order to make that idea work, the idea was, what if I put a girl like covering her face like she's embarrassed? This is a video about bedwetting, and so what if we showed this embarrassed girl in it? But to do that, we had to change the background, move Paul over a little bit because we had to move the text, and we moved his logo. In fact, we changed the color of the text. So we don't actually know what made this thumbnail perform better. We can guess, but in order to really know, you can only change one variable at a time, and I would call this like mega multivariable changing, but it made the click-through rate go up to 10.3%. A lot of things with thumbnails are guesswork. Just guess and use some creativity on what will create that curiosity. Now, if you can have the face closer up so you can see the whites of the eyes, videos that you can see the whites of the eyes of someone's eyes, that will typically have a higher click-through rate. Don't use like a portrait pose. Like, don't just have a bright smiley face in every one, but show some concern, show some surprise. And it doesn't have to be over the top emotion. It can be just subtle emotion, because our brains know exactly what the slightest movement of our eyebrow or something, right? We understand what that emotion is. So if it's like, what are you talking about? Or just showing frustration. You don't need to be crazy, but use some emotion, create that curiosity, and just guess and see how it works. Now, many of the things that I teach, such as how to do a strategy session, there are 5 steps, and you must do those 5 steps in order for your strategy session to be successful. I also teach a 5-step process for my YouTube strategy, right? Starting with the leaf strategy and going all the way through launching 5 episodes a week. It's pretty important to have all 5 ingredients. Now, with thumbnail design, it's a little bit different. I give you permission to break the rules. Try following the rules, try throwing the rules out the window and try something else, and just experiment and see and learn from it, and you'll start to create your own rules, and you'll know when to have exceptions to the rules, okay? Just give it your best guess, see how it performs, and you can always update it and try a new version. All right, you're in the home stretch. This is the final week of our 22 module course. Be sure to submit your questions at asknate.net, because this Saturday will be our final live Q&A right here on YouTube. So asknate.net, and I'll answer them on Saturday.